What a win for the Philadelphia Eagles. And when you look back at the history of this organization over the last decade, this is one of the best wins for the Eagles in the regular season of this decade. You go on the road against Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, the number one rushing defense in the National Football League, a team that is a Super Bowl contender in the AFC, a team in Baltimore that's very physical. You go down 9-0, and then the rest of the way, Philadelphia gets it together defensively. They make some masterful adjustments thanks to the legend that is Vic Fangio. The Eagles offense gets it together, and they outscore Baltimore the rest of the way, 24-3, before a garbage touchdown in garbage time for Baltimore. That is a heck of a victory for the Eagles. That is 8 straight wins. I have been saying for weeks that the Eagles are bona fide Super Bowl contenders. And what are the detractors? What are the haters going to say now? This was a knock 'em out, drag 'em out, put your stones on the table, big balls, big boy win. And Philadelphia was able to come through with a clutch victory in which after the first quarter, they really dominated this game physically, with talent, with coaching, and with execution. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you, and no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, as always, thank you so much for supporting the show. For those of you who watch the watch party, thank you for tuning in. For those of you hanging out after the fact, you got to celebrate this dub. 24-19, Eagles victorious. Jalen Hurts, 11 of 19 on the day, 118 yards, a touchdown, no picks. Saquon Barkley was held in check for the first 3 quarters. But as he's done all year, he popped off in the fourth. And you knew at some point Saquon was going to have that splash play. And he did that in the fourth quarter with a 25-yard touchdown. And he ran for more than 60 yards in that final frame. On the day, 23 carries, 107 yards, and a touchdown. That is what an MVP looks like. That is what an NFL Offensive Player of the Year looks like. And he continues to prove the Giants wrong and prove the Eagles right for Philadelphia and Howie Roseman investing in him this offseason, just being willing to give him a few more $1 million than the New York Giants were willing to offer. And as we've said pretty much every single week this season here, during what is now a magical 2024 season for Philadelphia, thank you, Giants. And what's so impressive about what Saquon was able to do, the Ravens loaded the box. They had heavy fronts all throughout the day, yet this Eagles offensive line and Saquon Barkley were still able to find success on the ground. And the identity of this football team is so impressive. Going up against one of the top rushing defenses in the NFL, a team that up front is very physical. You were wondering, Eagles were averaging 193 rushing yards per game going in. The Ravens were giving up less than 80. Was Philadelphia going to be able to wear down Baltimore throughout the course of a 60-minute game? Early on, you had your doubts. The play calling from Kellen Moore was weird. The first play of the game went to Saquon, runs ahead for 12 yards. And then the next 3 plays, Jalen Hurts targeted Will Shipley, Paris Campbell, and Britton Covey. And so this game was weird early on. And it looked as though maybe Baltimore is going to be able to hold this Eagles rushing attack in check. Maybe Jalen Hurts is going to have to win this game with his arm. Jalen Hurts made some money throws in this game. He was effective. He was efficient, making plays in structure, out of structure, with his legs, with his arm. But once again, the identity for this team showing up, showing out as the Eagles wore down Baltimore throughout the course of the game. And I jotted down some of these notes early in the game to just give everybody context for what the Eagles were able to accomplish. When the Ravens take leads in games and they're playing downhill, playing ahead, they usually are able to dictate the complexion of a game, dictate the momentum and feel and identity of a game. But Vic Fangio, what a hire he was by Howie Roseman. The Eagles had 1 first down in the first quarter. Baltimore outgained Philadelphia 228-22. The Ravens were at home with momentum with a 9-0 lead. And what the Ravens were doing defensively was very interesting. where they were loading up the box and the Eagles were struggling to run it. And then offensively, they were forcing at moments Cooper DeJean off the field. And there was a little bit of a chess match, right? Between Todd Monken, the Ravens offensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, the Eagles defensive coordinator. But then after that first quarter, Kellen Moore makes adjustments. Vic Fangio makes adjustments. Nick Sirianni playing a role in that as well. He now, by the way, has a #1 winning percentage among active head coaches. And I thought the Eagles, offensively, defensively, special teams, were able to outclass Baltimore for the final 3 quarters. The Eagles defense, after that first quarter, going into halftime, held the Ravens to 41 yards over their last 4 drives after giving up 128 yards on the first 2 drives of the game. That's coaching right there. That's adjustments right there. This Eagles team, they were not getting that last year from Sean Desai or Matt Patricia. They're getting it from Vic Fangio. They're so sound at all 3 levels. This Eagles front dominated what is a very solid Ravens offensive line. And how about some of the performances that we saw up front for Philadelphia? In a game where you know you're going up against Derrick Henry, you had to have a big Jordan Davis game. 6'6", 340. He's able to plug some run gaps. Derrick Henry held in check, 19 carries, 82 yards. Who looked like the MVP? Who looked like the Offensive Player of the Year? Who looked like the better running back? Saquon Barkley. And the Eagles' defensive line deserves a lot of credit for that. Zach Bond, another great pickup by Howie Roseman this offseason. 13 tackles, 8 solo, a half sack, a TFL, 1 quarterback hit. Nolan Smith, a TFL on a sack. Jalen Carter, he was everywhere. That's what an all-pro looks like. He's played like an all-pro all year, and he's leading defensive tackles and snaps. 1 sack, 3 TFLs, 2 quarterback hits, causing destruction. Brandon Graham, out for the rest of the year. Who has to step up? Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt. I read off the Nolan Smith numbers. Jalen Hunt, he has a half sack and a quarterback hit. Eagles on the day with 3 sacks, but they put Lamar Jackson under pressure, under duress. They had 6 quarterbacks. They didn't really let Lamar beat them with his legs. 8 carries, 79 yards, but some of those came in garbage time when this game was already wrapped up. So when I say this is one of the best Eagles regular season wins in recent memory of this decade, that's what I'm talking about. You're down early. Momentum is against you. You're facing adversity. The offense can't do anything. You're going up against an elite team. You make adjustments offensively, defensively. It helped that Justin Tucker missed 2 field goals and an extra point, but you look at that in a way like turnovers. And Baltimore also fumbled 3 times and recovered all 3 of those fumbles. So this game, which was really 24-12, could have been an even bigger blowout for Philadelphia. A lot more to get to here with our postgame show, but first, our postgame sponsor, our friends at DraftKings, the most elite sportsbook in the game and the only one that myself and Chip use. It should be the only sportsbook that you utilize because if you bet $5, you get $200 instantly in bonus bets when you use the code SixersChat. The Emirates NBA Cup is here. You can win big getting in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. All 30 teams split into 6 groups every Tuesday and Friday playing for the right to advance in the single elimination in-season tourney, culminating in the NBA Cup Championship in Vegas. First time here, here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. Every point counts. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SixersChat. That's code SixersChat for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball. And going into this game, if you watch the show, you know that Chip and I were all over Eagles +3. But Philadelphia was being disrespected in this spot. They had the rest advantage. They didn't have to travel that far. I think they're the better team. This is a Super Bowl contender. The over-under was 51. This game got a little bit muddy, and it was going back and forth, low scoring, knock them out, drag them out type of ball game. Not surprised that the over did not hit. And then Saquon Barkley, anytime touchdown. You knew that we love that. -180. That's why you watch the show, to get informed about the Eagles. You get some good betting advice as well, and we give you some winners. Use that code SixersChat, odds and lines, subject to change. So how about this? Let's just run through some stats and overall analysis and takeaways here. With his 109 yards and counting, Eagles running back Saquon Barkley, the 6th player in NFL history with at least 1,500 rushing yards in his first 12 games of a season, now joins Jim Brown, Terrell Davis, Walter Payton, O.J. Simpson, Chris Johnson as the only players to accomplish that. Giants fans were mocking the Eagles for making the signing. They were saying, bye-bye, Saquon. You can't get out of here any quicker. You disrespected the Giants. The Giants disrespected Saquon Barkley in not giving him more money. He was the best player on their roster, and they didn't give him that bread. And the Eagles said, you know what? We'll take him off your hands. And Saquon has helped to change this entire Eagles offense. Saquon Barkley also has 6 rushing touchdowns of 20-plus yards in the second half this year. It's the most in NFL history in a single season. We're 13 weeks down. 5 weeks to go. What he's doing this year should be marveled at. What he's doing right now should be celebrated. It should never be taken advantage of. It should never be overlooked. This is a one-of-one, very special season for Saquon Barkley. Another reason why I'm so fond of Philadelphia this year, and I mentioned it briefly earlier, all 3 phases of the game, they're bringing it. Offensively, adjustments. Offensively, they play bully ball. They win with talent. They win with scheme. They win with play calling and play designs. They win with adjustments. Defensively, such a well-coached unit at all 3 levels of the field. And Vic Fangio just continues to coach his ass off. And you're getting contributions from young players who the Eagles were banking on to have big 2024s. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. How about Cooper DeJean with a 50 to 60 pound disadvantage, tackling Derrick Henry, lifting him up in the air, and dropping him like it's WWE? How cool and phenomenal was that? But how about special teams? Braden Mann deserves so much credit for what he was able to do today. 2 punts inside the 5. His 1 punt in the first half, where he pinned Baltimore at the 1, helped to change the entire complexion of the game. Punts it to the 1. It's downed. Eagles are down 9-0. The defense, after a C.J. Gardner-Johnson pep talk, that worked, forced a 3-and-out for Baltimore. That was a big stop by this Eagles defense because you knew, barring a miracle of a punt, that the Eagles were going to get the ball in good field position. Ravens punted away. Eagles take over at the 49. Eagles score a touchdown. Jalen Hurts, a little RPO to Dallas Goedert in the flat. That special teams play changed the game. That special teams play was a momentum changer in this ballgame. Because oftentimes in football especially, and in sports, momentum is real. One thing leads to another thing, which leads to another thing. Great punt. Defense does its job. Special teams did its job. Offense, short field, takes advantage of that short field. Touchdown, new ball game. It was 9-7 at that point. So everybody has to understand, and some people do, some casuals don't, that special teams are so valuable. Special teams are pivotal to a team's success. And speaking of team success, think about some of the moves that Howie Roseman has made this offseason, or that he made in the offseason. Past tense, not current tense. Saquon Barkley, MVP candidate, probable offensive player of the year. Looked like a much better player as compared to Derrick Henry. Zach Bond, legitimately playing at an all-pro level. Eagles signed him for nothing. Howie Roseman then drafted Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. They are both playing at a Pro Bowl level on the back end. Darius Slay didn't play in this game. Eagles secondary was still really good. And Howie Roseman helps to hire Vic Fangio, gave him a bunch of bread, and Kellen Moore as the OC. That 2024 offseason, a masterclass in team building. So some people, even inside this Chat Sports office, will mock me when I say, Howie Roseman did it again. Howie Roseman did it again. And that's a big reason why the Eagles are 10-2, humming right now. And of course, any general manager will miss in the draft. They'll miss in free agency. And Howie Roseman has had some misses. But the Eagles are where they are, and they've achieved the success that they've achieved because Howie Roseman manages the cap very well. He's a genius with player contracts. He's been able to fleece teams in trades. The Chicago Bears moved back. They could have had Jalen Carter. You think the Bears could use Jalen Carter? Jalen Carter's been an all-pro player. Howie Roseman got A.J. Brown for nothing. Jalen Carter and A.J. Brown have changed this team. Howie Roseman did not have to trade up or go anywhere to take Quinyon Mitchell. He got arguably the best corner in the draft, probably the best corner of the draft. He traded up for Cooper DeJean. He was willing to pay Saquon Barkley. He identified Zach Baum as a player who had never played off-ball linebacker before, and now he's playing at an all-pro level. And so, masterclass from Howie Roseman. This is why he deserves the recognition and has received the recognition that he's receiving, because this Eagles team here in 2024, he put the pieces together in a very brilliant way, where offensively, they're a complete team, and defensively, they have gone from the worst defense in the NFL last year to the best defense in the NFL. And a defense today that confused and flustered Lamar Jackson and stopped Derrick Henry. That's good shit right there. Great, the Eagles win against Baltimore. One of the top wins of this decade for Philadelphia. A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know down in the chat. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll be back in the studio tomorrow with more Eagles analysis because the content doesn't stop.